Camera's rolling.
Baby, I'm too young to know any better, but I guess I'm just too old to care. I'm waiting on the morning light to clear the air. Now the sky is hung with regret, letting go that you pay flags. All the silence that keep me coming back. I'm the one that you hated. You know, the one you didn't want to believe. The one that you hated. Take a look at it now. I'm the one that you created. The one that you hated. Now the sky is hung with regret, letting go that you pay flags. All the silence that keep me coming back. I'm the one that you hated. You know, the one you didn't want to believe. The one that you hated. Take a look at it now. I'm the one that you.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Dad Talk Today. We got a very special episode, and really quick before we get into it, I would ask you, like, share, subscribe, ring the bell so you're getting notifications for when we go live. Many ways that you can support this show: Cash App, Venmo, Patreon, Dad Talk Today, no spaces. There's super chats, stickers, and memberships over there on YouTube. We got the same thing on Facebook, guys. I want to hurry on and get into today's broadcast. Make sure you're getting your Dad Talk Today gear. You can message the Facebook page if you would like to get that. Today's story is one I was actually on a vacation last week doing the family thing, and I got a buddy that I met years ago on a cruise ship, and he worked in this country called Guyana. Me and him really, really connected, man. And he was telling me about some of the stuff that was going on in the country, and we have stayed friends ever since. Been friends for about 10 years now. And he sent me this post from somebody that lives in that country. His name is Mr. Dylan Murray, and I've got him waiting. I'm about to bring him in here. Guys, this story is horrendous, but it's something that we're hearing more and more often. I've even had lawmakers on our show that have went through this same thing. Once a child is moved out of the country, there's little that you can do. But before we get too far into that, I want to go ahead and bring on today's guest. Mr. Dylan, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Eric, for having me on this show. I'm happy that I can use this platform. You've invited me to use this platform to not only talk about my story, but talk about how we can move forward as men, as dads throughout the world, to not just continue to support our children, but when we reach such experiences that what we can do to support each other.
Absolutely, man. Now, am I saying your name right? Is it Dylan?
Dylan Murray, yes.
Okay, man. Yeah, my buddy, Mr. Joseph Tenpal, he sent me your post, and I was perusing through it, and I was just like, oh, my God, man. I saw your picture. I saw you with your daughter. Both of you look so happy, and it breaks my heart that something like this could even go down. I think a lot of times people in the States don't realize that there's a lot of other countries out there that are going through the exact same thing, guys. I mean, your story sounds identical to somebody in the States. If you wouldn't have said you was in Guyana, I never would have knew that. I guess before we get too far into it, tell us about this relationship and how you got in this relationship with your ex, Dylan, and what that family law battle was like leading up to this.
Well, many persons, and I'm happy that you asked that, because many persons will understand when you understand Guyana in the context of race and ethnicity, like some similar countries, you'll find that a lot of the times that when two different race, persons of different ethnicity come together, sometimes not very supported by the extended family. And I thought I found myself in the same situation. Nevertheless, we got married in 2009. And of course, less than 3 months in, we got, Maya, that, I thought, will always be part of my life. And I've always worked to be part of my life, came. But I want to bring some context to why I'm so attached, because I can remember just a few days ago, a brother called me and he said to me, It seems that, I mean, looking through you, there's lots of photos you've posted over the years on your Facebook. You've really grown attached to the child. And I said to him, I said, even before I got into marriage to produce my daughter, our daughter, I would like to say, um, I had a dream, and I dreamt this wonderful baby girl, and I heard the voice, because I'm a man of faith, that says, this child will be a special child. I will tell you later why that resonates with me when they say special, because my daughter is, as well, at this time, as 12 years old, is struggling in ways that is not unique, but unique to the family and to me. But when my daughter came into being, I grew, of course, like any other father who cares about their children, grew very attached to her. We played together. I took her around, took her to school, took her to church. She was my world. And unfortunately, the marriage was not sustained for very long. Less into about 2 years into the marriage failed. We were separated. And right on into the separation, I found myself having to go to court to get a reasonable access to my daughter. I'm happy that the judge at that time, granted me reasonable access to my daughter. So I was able to have, because I'm no danger to the child, I'm no danger to her, my ex. I'm taking care of the child as much as I can, and I was granted, reasonable access. However, 2 years rolled on, and there's some level of trust. Not that I was trusting enough to get back with her, because at that time we were not yet divorced; we were just separated. When we were finally divorced in 2015, a few months after, she came and she said, she wants to go on a vacation. She's getting time off from work, and she would like to have a visa, a passport. Well, persons who are familiar with Guyana's law will know that once a father signs for a child, for them to get a passport, the father now has to go and sign to get to grant permission so the child can have the passport. So I went through the process, despite I was warned by many persons, including my close family members, not to do it. I went ahead and I thought, just like, she would like to have the privilege of taking my daughter on vacation, I would like to have the same privilege too. So I got the passport, and less than 2 weeks into it, she took me to court for full custody. The matter went on for about 2 months, and I just couldn't make sense of it. Like, I'm supporting the child, I'm in the child's life, I have reasonable access to the child. It was until the last day of that hearing what I thought that, her lawyer presented my daughter's passport that is stamped that she's her father sponsored. My ex-father sponsored her to the U.S., and my daughter was part of that package. And her lawyer pleaded, and the judge thought that because, most of the time she spent with her mom, that it's better for her to leave. Now, what that did for me, and I want person to understand the context of all of this. At that time when that happened in 2015, I did not have a visa to even visit the United States of America. I didn't know what the United States of America was other than reading the news following, because I'm a student of international relations. And so, of course, following the political system of the US would, of course, inform me of what it is secondhandly, but not having firsthand. But she was able to take the child. It was quite heartbreaking that a month into it, then I was able to really hear from her. I didn't know the address she was taking our daughter. I didn't know, had no chance of making contact. However, through a friend I reached out, she sent me a message. And 3 years, and that's the photo I post, and I saw you post it on your timeline as well.
Yeah.
That was the photo that I took when I finally got a visa, a visitor's visa, to visit my daughter. And she did not know that I was coming to the U.S. But unfortunately, because I missed my exchange bus in Fort Lauderdale, I was able to. When my daughter saw me, she said, "Dad, you're finally here." I think she thought in her mind that I was finally here to stay, but that wasn't so. And the context of it all, of her moving to a remote part of that state, and me living all the way in Guyana, is that it restrains me financially. For the last 8 years, I really went through it. I only was able to see my daughter physically at any period of time 7 times in 8 years. just to see her, touch her hair, say, how you doing. And it has had a very profound impact on my life in a way that for years I kept it. I never shared that part of it with other persons because these are things that, you go through, you try not to speak up too much about, as a
Yeah.
man. It really hindered me, kept me in a box for years. I've not been able to get into meaningful relationship and really to get into a marriage so I can have more kids, because that has really been very hard, and people who can relate would understand. But I'm happy that I was able to share that post and really get it out. But it has been very, very hard to be able to do that and be in my daughter's life, physically visit her, take her out, and do the things that any good father would want to do with their children.
I don't think that post was something you wanted to do. At this point in time, it felt like something that you needed to do in order
Yeah.
to get this out. I want to go back because I want to follow in this story. I got a couple of questions when I was sitting there listening to you. You talk about the race relations. What was going on there? I'm guessing her family lived in the United States. She might have been of a different race. They didn't want her with
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And yeah,
I can
that's
feel that.
that's correct.
Okay.
And it was, it was very thing. I can remember one member of the family kind of supported it, but eventually, as time went on, you really know what people were having in their heart, and it was not something. But I wouldn't want to prejudge, but I've always had a feeling that my ex, because I was her second husband and she was a little older, she just wanted what she wanted. And when she got what she wanted, I was just somebody to be placed on a shelf.
So you said you were the second husband. Did she have kids
Yeah.
with her first husband?
No.
Okay. I was going to ask if, something similar happened there. Tell me about
Yeah.
the family courts there in Guyana. How costly was that? How much did it cost for you to do that? Do you feel like as a father that they listened to anything you had to say? How long was that court battle? What was that process like for you?
Well, the first time I felt some level of justice because I was able to be granted reasonable access to my daughter. But I think the second time, and I want to bring some context to this, because I think sometimes as men we got to be careful as to how we kind of, we don't broad brush thing. I can remember, and there's a reason why I'm sharing this. I can remember when she was able to successfully take my daughter, or our daughter. A brother said to me, "Oh, let her take let the girl and her daughter," as if I had nothing to do with it, as if it's okay. But let me go back to the context of the court battle. There was no consideration, first of all, that whether or not she would keep her word to even bring the child back for me to see the child. There was no consideration that I had access to a US visa to come visit the child. There was no consideration whether there was affordability, because let me tell you, and I want persons to understand, when I visit, and this is, my daughter's totally worth it. But think about every year having to save up, the savings that you have to just take a trip. And then you come back and you're digging again to save again, but at the same time, every month you're still supporting. It puts a financial burden, and it has been a real difficulty having to move forward into a new and family relationship because of the fact that I have to ensure that whatever I save up is to save to try to make a trip. I have to pay that fare myself. I have to pay the accommodation myself. Everything I have to pay myself, just to be able to, and I'm constrained by finances because it will only take me so much into a hotel for a couple days or so. So it's become very strenuous. I don't think that the fairness of the judicial system at that time was fair to me, because all those things were not taken into consideration. Whether I was able to get to the US, whether or not she's going to keep her word. There was no consideration where she was taking the child, whether it was a safe destination for our daughter, whether or not she could gain a job to be able to support the child, whether the child would be placed in a vulnerable situation. None of that was taken into consideration. thinking back and through it all. But on the part of the part of the man side, I mean, you could read the post. Lots of people voice that, men are treated unfairly in the judicial system.
Oh, 100%. Now, to give a little context to the audience too, they might not understand when you talk about this financial strain that you're going through. About the only thing that you probably heard on the media, and I know the country probably hates this being brought up, was the Jonestown massacre. That's where that happened, was there in Guyana. Your money compared to U.S. is very, very little. It's like you're having to save up a life savings just to be able to come over here and see your daughter, I would imagine.
Yeah. And I just want person to know the context. It's 200 Guyana dollars. Sometimes it go over that to 1 US. So the exchange rate is extremely, it's a challenge. But I try my best to. That's why I say, in the matter of 8+ years, only about 7 times I could remember. I can recall. Well, that's what it is to be able to physically see my daughter.
I get it, man. What does the airplane ticket cost just to get over here?
It varies. Sometimes you'll pay 700. Sometimes it goes. It depends on
700 US.
Yeah, to go. But I think more of it is the transportation and the accommodation. It really takes that out of you to do it. But I don't want to, I don't want to broad brush and say, my daughter isn't really worth it. But at the end of the day, she, on her part, she does not have to cover. She's just, living her life normal, doing what she wants to do when she wants to do it, and at the expense that I have to fit that cost.
Well, and so it, not broad brush, man, but we're trying to give the, the perspective into what's going on here. I just did the math. 200 times 700. That's 140,000 Guyana dollars. From what I can see. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, that's about it. Yeah.
That's a lot of money just to get the airplane ticket. And then you got to talk about the hotels, the travel, and everything else. I don't know how you've done it, brother. And you shouldn't have to go through this to be a father, but this is a father's love. You do it and you're glad to do it.
And I do it as well at the expense of even, as I said, over the years, I've been really restraining myself, to put my daughter first and put a stable relationship aside just to be able to make that on and I've really reached a point, and I want persons to know I've reached a point just a few weeks. And let me explain to you why I reached that is I went to the US in December, and I was staying in a different state, and I said to her, and this is the unfair part of it all, I said I can afford to get, pay the ticket for my daughter because I have accommodation. I'm staying with family. She knows the people. It's my sister. She can come up. I'll be able to spend some time. And she denied that. So what I had to do was to move from that state, take another plane ticket to go to her state. The same thing again to come back, to honor the ticket from this state, from the state I was in, to head back. Yeah.
Oh man, that makes me so angry. I can only imagine the arguments that you were in leading up to this, but it comes to the point where she says, "Hey, I need to get a passport." Out of the middle of nowhere, before she asked you for that passport, did the demeanor change? Did she start being nice to you all of a sudden?
Okay, yeah. Because I can remember the weekend she told me that it wasn't the weekend that that my daughter should have been with me, but she brought her over. She said, I have to go out and I wanted to, she can stay. And then when I think about it, I was so, it is what it is, and then suddenly she dropped and I said, you know what? Things are getting a little better. There's some trust there. And I didn't see it coming.
I get it. And then that's what they do, man. I mean, but it seems like, why would you do that for her? Why would you sign that knowing what she had been doing leading up to that? What do you think was in your mind leading up to signing that passport so that your daughter could go on vacation with your ex?
I in my mind, I'm a fair person. I'm not a person that holds on. I'm not to this day, I've not found myself thinking to any harm towards her, because of what she did. So I thought, that's something I would like too. And if I had the shoes were turned, I would have liked, and I would have liked the same thing to be able to take my daughter on vacation and so on when I can afford it. And yeah, but she did not think the same.
No.
Yeah.
Oh man, just makes me so angry. I mean, is there anything? I mean, pretty much when she moved out of country, that takes away all possibilities unless your daughter gets old enough and wants to move back with you, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yes. And she, she's older that she, but and the things that compounds the entire situation is that my daughter, I don't want to dive in too much into to what, but she's struggling in a way that, as I said, is not unique to a lot of children
Right.
these days, but it has become very a personal matter, and it's really hurts me the way that she's struggling in ways that she's not being treated sometimes fairly. And there was an incident that happened in 2020, if I could, no, 2021, that really, you know, placed me in a position where I said, my daughter isn't safe. She's not safe where she is. And I don't think my ex understands the gravity of some of the action she has taken to seem to remedy the situation. But from all instances that I've experienced, it's not remedying, but it's becoming worse. And it puts me in, yeah, I don't have words, but it makes me very afraid for my daughter and her safety, and her future and everything.
If you relayed that to her or her family, is that a message that they're even able to listen to?
No, I've said it several times to her. I said, I said, Maya, the situation is not getting better. It is, and I've said it to her many times. The situation is not getting any better, and I think her, in her mind, and understanding who she is, I'm not surprised that there's no consideration for my advice or what I say. It's just her way or no way at all. Yeah.
I can understand that. One of the things that started running through my head again, we've had some weird times in the past several years as it pertains to this world. We've seen things that I don't think we've ever seen before. One of them was COVID-19.
Yes.
And when COVID-19 came out, you couldn't go anywhere. What were those years like trying to talk to your daughter? I mean, I'm guessing during those couple of years, you weren't even allowed to come over.
Exactly. And and more importantly to my daughter, not so, in our relationship, there was a lot of retrogression in her progression towards becoming, overcoming what she's struggling now with. And as I said, in those years is really profound, really compound rather her experiences. And yeah, I'm just praying that everything gets better. But I'm happy that I was able to let go of all that I've kept over the years. And I think moving forward, it's to really think strategically as to how I can be in my daughter's life, and impact her in ways that she would remember. Because I always believe it's not what you say or what you do sometimes, but how people feel about what the experience they had with you. And I've always sought to have good experience with her and to let her know that I love her. I call her beautiful every time, I get a chance. I say, how are you doing, beautiful? Because she's beautiful, and I want her to grow up and to know that I love her. And the situation, the bond we had, for some reason, I'm not sure why, it's just fading. And that's the scary part. I think that's what makes me very sad to think, but it's really fading.
When you don't have that time,
Yeah.
this is what happens. Even for the guys that are even seeing their kids every other week, those 2 weeks, there's a lot that happens in those 2 weeks, but you're not having that time with the child. And especially fathers and daughters, they need that bonding time. That is so special. That is so important. What is communicate? I mean, do you get to do FaceTime or anything similar to what we're doing right now with her on a consistent basis?
Yeah, I would want to do it more frequent, but it depends on when my ex would answer the phone, because my daughter has a phone, but I don't know why I don't ever get through to the phone. She has a Facebook page. I don't know why I don't ever get her there. So whenever it's convenient to her, she would answer, and that's the time that I get.
How much do you love your daughter, Dylan?
Uh, I, I've, to be honest, I left everything. I've accomplished, despite Guyana may be challenging, I was able to successfully accomplish a few things, and that really means nothing to me. To be able to be in my daughter's life, pick her up from school, and I'm saying this with no intention of ever reconciling with my ex, as in being in a relationship, because I don't want that. But I would like to be in my daughter's life, to be able to, I've explored times to, get a work permit, because in the US, you have to get a work permit. You just don't show up and, yeah. So those are things that I'm trying to work through to see how possible it can be, because I need her and she needs me, and I need to be there for her. And there's nothing I could ever accomplish in this life that would be satisfactory if my daughter goes down a road that it's not becoming of somebody meaningful in society.
How long have you said you've been holding all this in again?
It's been, I would say, about 9 years.
9 years.
Yeah.
Why speak up now?
Because I'm ready to, other than, I love my daughter to death. I will do everything for her. But I've been, I've made some decision to, neglect a lot of things in my life as well, because of the whole experience. And I have to move forward. I cannot be in a box anymore. I cannot, continue to hurt and just smile my way to life. Everybody say, I have a beautiful smile. You have a great smile, but beyond that smile, it's that that dark space that I needed to have some light come in. Yeah.
Definitely understand, man. I could tell by the first time you wrote that wasn't something that you was eager to do, is to get on there and talk about your life in front of everybody and what was going on, but you needed to. This is one of those things that these guys hold on. I can tell right now, Dylan, you're a fair guy. You want to do what's in the best interest of the child. Probably one of those that you could get along with her. But let me ask you a question. Every time that you tried to get along with her, or you tried to act fair, or there was some give and take there, was that reciprocated? Did you get that back in return?
No, it has always been, as I said earlier, her way or no way. And I honestly, I just I don't want to cry foul and think, but I just honestly feel, mistreated in the whole process. And, whatever tomorrow brings is thing, but I'm really planning, and I'm planning to be in my daughter's life permanently, to be there for her. To, one of the things that the last time I saw her, she said to me, Dad, I see the kids, their fathers come and pick them up from school. And, and it really hit me, because, and I tried, the last time I saw her, I tried to do it, but Uber did not show up on time. It was lots of rain, and I had to cancel it. And, we walked, and I felt really bad that I didn't get to have her see, that for some reason, but, it is what it is. And I'm doing the best I can.
What state are you having to travel to?
It's in Florida.
Florida. I know we got some guys in Florida, man, that would probably more than likely say, hey, you got our house if you ever come up here, or you need some rides. I know we got plenty of them down there. Guys, if you're watching this show, make sure to reach out to Dylan and let him know what's going on. Brother, I can thank you enough for doing what you're doing and for speaking up, because we need people to speak up. When you don't speak up, the world don't know what's going on. They can't hear what we don't say. And I think a lot of men, in order for the best interest of the child, or trying to be there, we hold this back. We don't want that out in the public. We don't want to speak. But guys, this is not an uncommon situation. Now, I'll tell you, I even went through it myself. A little bit different because it was in the United States. But I was told the day before my ex moved with my child all the way across the country. She told me the day before. And I was like, you can't do that. She said, yes, I can. And she did. And it was a year before I saw my child again. A year. There was nothing I could do. And we see this kind of crap happen all the time. And then they will take that child that's not able to see their father and claim that that's a fatherless child, or a dad that's abandoned the home. No. You see this? Here is a dad that would love nothing more than to be with his child right now, to be with his girl. But this is what causes it, you know? And I feel so sorry. And, you know, I'm going to talk to grandma and grandpa that helped out in this. You ripped this father away from this child, and they need their daddies. If you look up the fatherless statistics, and Dylan, I know you mentioned there's a few things going on that, you know, you're a little concerned about right now, but those are the statistics. When kids grow up without their fathers, they need their daddies. And I want to talk to you guys in the States, man. Listen to this. Here's somebody, different country, going through it. I've been talking to people all over the world. You know what I'd love to see, Dylan, is more groups like down there in Guyana, in Australia, and Canada. All of us should be coming together and sounding the alarms, because I believe like that masculinity has been attacked. To me, dads are just as important as moms. I mean, you need both. But here is a child that's not getting that. And it's not because you don't want to be there, man. I know this has got to be breaking you apart inside. Do you keep a journal or anything when you're thinking about her, just to let her know that, you know, I'm thinking about you today, baby?
Yeah, I do. And I write her letters. You know, I send her letters. I today on Facebook showed a letter that I sent her 7 years ago.
Oh, really?
Looking at it. Yeah.
Oh, that is so cool, man. I hate that so much. How old is she now?
She's 12.
She's 12. Brother, I just want to ask you before we get out of here. I got one more question left for you, but before I do that, obviously you wanted to speak out. You know, I wanted to give you a platform. That's what this is about. Yeah. That's all Dad Talk is about, is helping these guys that are going through these challenges and making sure the world hears what you got to say. Is there anything that you would like to say to anybody, to the lawmakers, to the family courts, anybody, before we get out of here, about what this situation's put you through?
I would like to especially speak to, and I hope, because I saw you know, some mothers will also on your page. I know that there, you know, persons will say that children, as you said, rightfully said, need their mothers, but they equally need their fathers, and not because the relationship was not successful between you and the man, it means that you should punish the man for you know, the kid should not be there. That's something I really would like to say to, and I don't want to broad brush it. All women are like that. They're not. They're really great women out there. But to those who are struggling to reconcile and find some common ground with their former spouse, like, you know, just put the children first. Think about what the child would need, not what you would need, what the child would need to move forward. And that's what I've thought and put front and foremost in my thinking over the years. As I said, I've pushed a lot of things aside that I could have done and accomplished just to be able to be there for my daughter. And I think, you know, every person should do that. And I think mothers should recognize as well the sacrifices of their fathers. To the lawmakers, you know, think about, I know that when the judge makes the decision, they go home and they sleep well at night. They don't have to deal with the trauma that a child has to go through, that a parent whose rights have been trampled upon has to go through. Because to this day, I still have an order of the court that says I need reasonable access to my daughter. But when you think about you know, the U.S. and Guyana, the question of jurisdiction will come into play. with a court intervening, so it's a whole lot. But I want to say, just press forward and do your best for your children. Keep them in your prayers and live a life that is, honorable, so that your kids can be very proud of you.
Absolutely, man, dude. I appreciate you so much for speaking up, and we definitely want to make sure to get updates on this story. Anytime you got some updates coming in, please let us know. On our way out, though, I want to give you an opportunity. What would you like to tell your daughter about how much you love her and this fight right now? What would you have happen right now if it was inside of your control? I figured we'll end this interview with you telling her whatever you want to say, man.
I want to say to you, Maya, because I know sometime you'll be able to get access to this, that your daddy loves you. I've always sought to be in your life every day, but unfortunately, because of the situation and our distance, we're apart. But I've always kept you in my prayers. I will always keep you in my prayers. And though we will grow old, I want you to know that I love you, and I'll do everything I can to be there for you and ensure that you have a wonderful life. Daddy loves you, and I will always love you.
Absolutely, Dylan. I appreciate you so much coming on, man. We're going to be praying for you there, buddy.
Thank you.
Guys, Florida guys, make sure he's got somewhere to go to. All right, guys, we'll see you next time.
All right,
hey, everybody, Eric Carroll here. Thank you for tuning in to another exciting episode of Dad Talk Today. While we fight for you, we would ask for you to please help fight for us. Like, subscribe to our channel, and ring that bell so you get notifications every time we go live. There's also Super Chats, patreon.com/dadtalktoday, and other ways you can support our channel.